AutoLine Daily is brought to you by Dow Automotive Systems, improving durability and increasing design flexibility with Betamate structural adhesives at dowbetamate.com.
Here are today's top headlines. Now even Ralph Nader is attacking Toyota. Ford has hybrid braking problems of its own. And a look at just how complicated it could be for any automaker to track down electronic glitches in a car. Up next, we'll be back with the news behind the headlines. This is AutoLine Daily for Friday, Feb 5, 2010, and now the news. And yep, we're still reporting on Toyota's problems, and they just continue to get worse. Bloomberg reports that consumer advocate and hero to plaintiff attorneys Ralph Nader is accusing Toyota of a cover-up. He also criticizes NHTSA for being too lax, but wouldn't you know it, the Detroit News reports that the Obama administration has bumped up the budget for NHTSA so it can hire 66 more employees. And Joan Claybrook, the former NHTSA administrator in the Carter administration, says we're definitely going to see a new law come out of all this that mandates a brake override system where the engine is disengaged if the brake and gas pedal are pushed down at the same time. Meanwhile, Bloomberg reports that Toyota now faces 29 different class action lawsuits, and that is just in the United States. Toyota is now looking at repairing Priuses in 80 different countries, and still the story isn't over. Now the LA Times says that the Prius has other electronic problems, including HID headlights turning off inexplicably, sometimes in very dangerous situations. NHTSA has over 2,000 complaints from drivers and says Toyota has 28,000 warranty repairs of the headlights. And while the Big T's recalls have dominated headlines around the world, it's not the only automaker having problems. Ford released a technical service bulletin, or TSB, for its Fusion and Milan hybrids over a potential braking issue. The company says the problem is computer-related. Basically, the threshold between its two braking modes is too sensitive, and under certain conditions, the system transitions from regenerative braking to hydraulic braking when it's not necessary. This causes the pedal to go down about 1 inch further than expected, but the brakes are still fully functional. Some 18,000 Fusions and Milans sold since October of last year are affected by the notice. Owners are advised to take their cars to a dealership for a software upgrade. Renault will reveal its new Wind Roadster at next month's Geneva Motor Show. It's the company's first roadster in more than a decade. One unique feature is its glass top that tucks away in about 12 seconds into an area above the trunk. The company says its design is simpler and more reliable than traditional folding roofs. The Wind will be built in Slovenia and is expected to be powered by either a 100 or 133 horsepower engine. General Motors and NASA have teamed up to develop robots for use in space and maybe even to build cars. Called Robonaut 2, or R2 for short, it's the next-gen version of the original. It has greater dexterity and is more technologically advanced. It can work safely with astronauts in space and be used for more hazardous missions. And GM thinks the partnership can help it develop advanced safety systems for its vehicles, and that robots, like R2, can also be used to work alongside employees to help build cars. But while GM is working with NASA on future robots, it's getting rid of them in some of its factories. GM is considering installing manual body shops as opposed to automated lines at some of its plants. According to the Detroit Free Press, it's estimated the move could save GM $100 million and the 20 months it would take to install an automated line. A manual line would only take about 3 months to install. Robots and automation can be more efficient, but they cost a lot more money up front. Manual body shops can be more flexible because you can always lay off workers to cut costs if sales go down. Coming up next, a safety expert talks about how difficult it will be for Toyota to find out if it truly has an unintended acceleration problem. Toyota recalled millions of cars to replace the floor mats and chop down the size of the gas pedal. Now it's recalling cars to fix the gas pedal assembly. But what about all these reports of unintended acceleration, where the car just takes off on its own? Could it be a glitch with the electronic throttle control, as some are alleging? And if so, how hard is it to pinpoint the problem? On Autoline Detroit this weekend, we have a quality expert, Dennis Petrowski from the RDA Group, who addresses this very issue. How does an automaker go about trying to dig up what is the root cause of the problem? What's involved in all that?
Right. Well, you know, with something like this, it's particularly difficult because it's a safety issue. And here it is, they're going to, first of all, look at incidents, getting reported into NHTSA. But then at that point, they're also going to be, in addition to that incident, trying to replicate it. And all the climate testing you want to do in a laboratory situation is not necessarily going to discover what happens to a vehicle in parts over time. You know, that's
in the real world.
In the real world, exactly. A vehicle can get out there, and maybe it's sitting in a hot, humid condition for 2 weeks, once every other month or something of that nature. So for 3 to 6 years, typical ownership cycle, it's very difficult to model that in. So this is something that would be very difficult for them to catch.
You can watch that entire interview, which includes Jeff Green from Bloomberg and Mark Phelan from the Detroit Free Press, at our website, www.autolinedetroit.tv. Okay, it is Friday, and you know what that means. It's time to answer this week's trivia question. We asked you to identify what car this is, and the correct answer is it's the new Chevy Aveo RS. As always, we randomly selected this week's winner from all the right answers, and the winner is Israel Moore from Livingston, Alabama. Congratulations, Israel. You just won an Autoline Detroit coffee mug. But that is it for today's top news in the global automotive industry. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.